Ethan had always dreamed of seeing the stars. From his small home on Earth, he stared at the night sky and imagined the worlds beyond. Stories of alien civilizations, ancient treasures, and hidden secrets filled his mind. Now, standing on the metallic ramp of his small spacecraft, he felt the thrill of adventure pulse through him. He was about to land on a planet known as Zythera, a place humans rarely visited. The sky of Zythera shimmered in shades of green and violet. Strange, enormous trees stretched toward the clouds, their leaves glowing softly. Rivers of liquid crystal reflected the two suns that shone above, casting dancing lights across the land. Ethan's heart raced. Everything about this world was beautiful and unfamiliar. As he guided his ship down, Ethan noticed structures in the distance. Towers with smooth curves like living beings frozen in time rose above the forests. He could see figures moving, tall, slender shapes with skin that shimmered faintly. Zythera was alive in a way that felt almost magical. He landed near a clearing and stepped out. The air was crisp and smelled faintly of flowers and metal. He adjusted his backpack and took a deep breath. He had trained for years for this moment, but nothing could prepare him for the reality of standing on an alien world. Before he could explore further, a group of alien guards appeared. They were tall and elegant, with 4 arms each, dressed in garments of glowing threads. Ethan froze for a moment, unsure if they were friendly or hostile. One of the guards spoke, their voice deep and musical. "You are human," the guard said. "You may enter the city. Follow us." Ethan followed them through a forest that seemed alive. The trees bent slightly as if watching him pass. Strange. Birds with transparent wings sang songs he could almost understand. The city of Zythera was like nothing he had imagined. Towers floated above the ground, connected by glowing bridges. The streets were wide and clean, and alien citizens walked calmly, some smiling at him with curiosity. Finally, they arrived at a massive palace. Its walls were made of a material that seemed both stone and light. Huge doors opened before him, and Ethan stepped inside. The palace glowed with a soft golden light, and statues of alien heroes lined the halls. But what caught Ethan's eye the most was a figure in the center of the room, a girl chained to a pedestal. She was beautiful, with silver hair that shimmered like the rivers outside, and eyes that glowed faintly blue. Her chains were made of a strange glowing metal, and even from a distance, Ethan felt the weight of centuries of confinement. There was a quiet dignity in the way she held herself. Despite being chained for 200 years, she did not look defeated. She looked strong. A voice echoed through the hall. "Welcome, human," it said. Ethan turned to see the alien king, Zorath. He was enormous, taller than any alien he had seen before, with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that shone like molten gold. His presence was powerful, commanding respect without a word. "I am King Zorath," the alien said. "I hear that your kind is brave and clever. Perhaps you will serve me. In return, I offer you riches beyond your imagination." Ethan looked at the chest of gold and jewels that appeared beside the king. Its light reflected in his eyes, and for a moment he felt tempted. He had heard stories of human greed, of explorers who abandoned morals for wealth. But then his gaze returned to the girl in chains. "Who is she?" Ethan asked, pointing at her. The king's eyes narrowed. "That is Liara. She has been chained for 2 centuries because of her actions. She once betrayed this kingdom, or so the story goes. Her fate is not for discussion with humans. You may take the gold and leave if you wish." Ethan's heart pounded. 200 years. That was longer than any human had lived. And yet, she did not look afraid. There was intelligence in her eyes, courage too. He felt a strange pull, a sense that freeing her was more important than gold or treasure. "I do not want gold," Ethan said firmly. I want to help her. The king laughed, a sound like thunder rolling across mountains. Brave words, human. Do you understand the risk? You defy me, the ruler of Zithara. You could lose everything, even your life. Ethan did not waver. He stepped closer to Liara, who watched him silently. He felt a connection, even though they could not yet speak. It was as if they both understood something important, that freedom was worth more than gold and courage could change destiny. You are unlike any human I have known, Zorath said. Very well. If you wish to save her, you must prove yourself worthy. A series of trials awaits. Only then may the chains be broken. Ethan nodded. I am ready. The king waved his hand, and a doorway opened, glowing with soft blue light. Ethan could feel energy thrumming from it, a mixture of challenge and promise. He glanced back at Liara. Her eyes flickered with hope. He could not speak, but he understood that this was only the beginning. As Ethan stepped through the doorway, he realized that Zithara was testing not just his strength or skill, but his courage, his heart, and his mind. The gold was tempting, yes, but it could never compare to the power of doing what was right. Outside, the suns of Zithara shone brightly. The forests whispered in the wind, and deep in the palace, the girl in chains, Liara, watched him go, a faint smile on her face. For the first time in 200 years, she felt a spark of hope. Ethan did not know what trials awaited him, but he felt ready. Humans were clever, resourceful, and brave, and in a world that had never truly seen them, perhaps he could show that humanity's greatest strength was not in wealth or weapons, but in morality, courage, and heart. With that thought, he stepped into the unknown, beginning a journey that would test him in ways he could never imagine, and perhaps change the fate of Zithara forever. Ethan stepped through the glowing doorway, leaving the grand hall of the palace behind. The air inside was warm, and hums of alien energy echoed softly. He felt excitement and fear mixed together. Every step he took seemed to hum with anticipation, as if Zithara itself was watching him. He entered a large chamber with smooth walls that shimmered like liquid glass. Strange symbols floated in the air, glowing softly in colors he had never seen before. The room was silent, except for the quiet clicking of his boots on the polished floor. At the center, a pedestal rose slightly from the ground, and upon it lay a small console with alien markings. A holographic projection appeared above it, showing the image of King Zorath. Human! The king's voice boomed, echoing through the chamber. You have chosen to pursue Liara's freedom over gold. This is unusual among your kind. Very well. You must pass the trials to prove your worth. Only then will the chains be broken. Ethan nodded. I understand. Tell me what I must do. The projection shifted, showing a series of floating symbols and images. Some depicted puzzles, others showed strange landscapes, and others illustrated citizens of Zithara performing tasks. Ethan studied each carefully. He realized these trials would not be tests of strength, but of intelligence, empathy, and courage. Your first trial begins immediately, the king said. Solve the puzzles to proceed. Fail, and you may be removed from this place permanently. Ethan took a deep breath. He had trained his mind for problem-solving, but this was different. The puzzles seemed alive, changing as he looked at them. He approached the console and touched one symbol. It expanded into a glowing puzzle, floating in the air before him. The first puzzle was a series of interlocking shapes that shifted colors and positions. At first, he tried moving them randomly, but quickly realized that each piece responded to his intent. Slowly, carefully, he began to align the shapes, watching. Patterns emerge. Hours passed as he focused, sweat forming on his brow. Finally, the pieces clicked into place, and the puzzle dissolved into a warm, golden light. A soft voice spoke from the room itself, not from the projection. You are clever, human. But cleverness alone is not enough. The floor beneath him shifted, opening into a new chamber. Ethan stepped down and found himself in a garden unlike any he had ever seen. Trees floated mid-air, their leaves spinning slowly. Rivers of light flowed around him, and creatures with wings of crystal moved gracefully above. At the center of the garden was a group of alien citizens, some injured, some confused, unable to navigate the terrain. Ethan realized the second trial required empathy and action. The creatures and citizens needed help, but moving through the garden was dangerous. Glowing vines twisted and shifted, creating barriers. Some creatures were timid and would not allow him near. Others were frightened by the light. He remembered what humans were capable of: adaptation, ingenuity, and patience. Carefully, he approached the creatures, speaking softly, even though he doubted they could understand. Slowly, he guided them through the maze of floating rivers and twisting vines. He helped the injured, finding ways to lift them without harm. He solved problems not with strength, but with patience and care. Finally, the last creature reached safety. A soft warmth filled the garden, and a voice said, "You have compassion, human. This is rare in our world. Few could have succeeded." Ethan smiled, though he was tired. He thought of Liara chained in the palace, and a stronger resolve filled him. She had waited 200 years, silent, patient, and dignified. He would not fail. Herbor. The third trial began immediately. A small portal opened nearby, showing a rocky landscape with dark clouds and lightning. Ethan stepped through and found himself facing a raging storm, the wind strong enough to push him back. Across the terrain, he could see glowing crystals that marked a path. The challenge was clear: reach the end without losing his way or being struck by the storm. Ethan focused, remembering his human training in survival and navigation. He watched the lightning patterns, noted the wind's shifts, and stepped carefully across rocks that glowed with alien energy. Several times, he nearly fell, but each time he adjusted, thinking one step ahead. Unlike many creatures of Zithra, he did not rely on instinct alone. He used logic, patience, and courage. Finally, he reached the end. A small stone platform rose from the ground, and on it was a glowing key. Ethan picked it up, feeling a rush of accomplishment. "One step closer," he whispered. A voice echoed again, softer this time. "You are human. You possess cleverness, compassion, and courage. But there is one more truth to understand before Liara's chains may be broken." Ethan followed the path back to the palace. In the distance, he could see Liara's chains glowing faintly. She had been watching him, her expression unreadable, but her eyes reflecting hope. As he approached, he noticed she raised her hand slightly, a gesture almost invisible but full of meaning. She trusted him. He realized then that the trials were not just tests of skill, but tests of heart. They were designed to see if a human could act not for personal gain, but for the good of another. And Ethan knew the answer. He had chosen Liara over gold, courage over comfort. King Zorath appeared again, this time in the flesh, standing tall and imposing. "You have done well, human," he said. "Most humans would have taken the gold and ignored the girl. Yet you chose her. Tell me, why?" Ethan looked at Liara, then back at the king. "Because she deserves freedom. Because some things are more valuable than gold. And because humans are not always greedy or selfish, we can be brave, kind, and moral." The king studied him carefully. For a moment the air seemed still, as if Zithra itself held its breath. Then Zorath spoke, his voice deep, but carrying a hint of respect. "You are unlike any human I have known. Very well. Your final trial will reveal the truth about the girl." Only when you understand her story completely can the chains be broken. Ethan's heart pounded. He had passed the first trials, but he knew the hardest part was still ahead. He had glimpsed the courage and strength of humans, but now he would see the courage and strength of Liara herself. Liara's eyes met his, glowing faintly in the dim light. She did not speak, yet Ethan felt a message clear in his mind. I have waited 2 centuries. I trust you to see me free. Ethan nodded silently. I will not fail you, he promised. And with that, the final stage of the trials began, a journey that would uncover secrets, reveal hidden truths, and test the limits of human courage and morality. Ethan stepped forward, determined to prove that humans could rise above fear and greed, and that even in a world of alien wonder and power, a single human heart could change the fate of centuries. Ethan stepped out of the glowing portal and into a chamber unlike any he had seen before. The walls were tall and smooth, curving upward until they disappeared into darkness. Light floated freely in the air, forming paths that shifted as he moved. The air hummed with energy, vibrating softly against his skin. A voice, calm yet commanding, spoke. Human, you have proven cleverness and compassion. Now your courage will be tested. Beyond this chamber lies a series of trials designed for one purpose: to reveal your heart. Ethan took a deep breath. Each trial so far had tested his mind and his kindness. This, he realized, would test his will and bravery. He thought of Liara, still chained in the palace. Her quiet strength inspired him. If he could pass these trials, he could finally free her. The first trial appeared as a vast room filled with floating platforms over a deep chasm. The platforms moved unpredictably, some spinning, others rising or lowering. Strange lights flashed below, illuminating a seemingly endless void. Ethan stepped forward carefully. Each step required him to judge speed, balance, and timing. One misstep could send him plummeting into the darkness. Ethan focused, thinking not of the danger, but of the goal. He remembered how humans had survived. Harsh climates and impossible journeys on Earth. Step by step, he moved across the platforms, using his mind to predict their patterns and his courage to face the heights. Finally, he reached the far side, breathing hard but unbroken. The chamber shifted, walls dissolving into a forest of glowing crystal trees. The ground sparkled underfoot, but the forest was alive. The crystals shifted like water, blocking paths and hiding traps. Ethan realized this trial required more than courage. It required observation and intuition. As he walked, he saw alien creatures trapped among the crystals. They were small, delicate beings, with wings like spun glass, struggling to free themselves. Without hesitation, Ethan helped them, moving crystals and guiding them to safety. Each rescued creature left a trail of glowing light, which seemed to open new paths for him. You combine courage with care, a voice said. Ethan looked around but saw no one. This is the essence of your kind. Few others would act so selflessly under pressure. He pressed on, knowing that his journey was far from over. Soon he arrived at a wide river of liquid light, flowing rapidly and blocking his path. Floating stones and logs appeared sporadically, but most were unstable. Ethan studied the river. Using logic and quick reflexes, he jumped carefully from one stone to another, adjusting for the currents and timing. His movements precisely. Halfway across, a sudden surge knocked a stone sideways. Ethan's heart pounded, but he held on, using a branch-like protrusion to steady himself. He reached the far bank, soaked in the warm glow of the river, but filled with a sense of accomplishment. Beyond the river lay the final chamber of this trial. A pedestal rose at its center, with a glowing orb hovering above. As Ethan approached, a holographic image of Liara appeared. She was silent, but radiated strength and determination. A voice spoke. soft, yet clear. Human. The greatest trial is not of strength or skill, but understanding. You must learn why I am chained, why I have waited 2 centuries. Only then can you succeed. Ethan stepped closer to the pedestal. Images flashed in the orb, memories from Liara's past. He saw her standing in a grand hall centuries ago, speaking to alien leaders. She held an artifact in her hands, a crystal of immense power, glowing brighter than any light he had seen. Around her, enemies moved to seize it, their intentions dark and dangerous. The visions revealed that Liara had made a choice. The artifact could control minds and influence entire worlds. Liara realized that if it fell into the wrong hands, it would bring disaster to Zithara and beyond. To protect the galaxy, she chained herself, ensuring that the artifact could never be misused. Ethan felt a deep respect for her. 200 years of isolation, and she had remained strong, patient, and steadfast. He understood now why the king had called her a betrayer. From the outside, her act had looked like defiance, but in truth, it was heroism of the highest order. The orb dissolved, and Ethan heard a soft voice in his mind. Liara's voice. You understand. That is why I trust you. Suddenly, the chamber shifted again. The walls opened to reveal a vast arena, glowing with alien energy. King Zorath appeared at its center, his golden eyes fixed on Ethan. Human, you have shown courage, compassion, and wisdom. But the final test is here. You must face not danger, but choice. Will you take the gold offered or free Liara, knowing the consequences? Ethan felt the weight of the moment. The gold had been tempting, a shortcut, a reward for his efforts. But he looked at Liara, standing silently in the center of the arena, chains glowing faintly but proud. He knew the answer. Her, Ethan said firmly, pointing at Liara. The arena fell silent. The king's eyes widened, a mix of surprise and respect in his gaze. Bold. Few humans would refuse wealth for another's freedom. You may have more to teach us than we thought. Ethan stepped forward, moving closer to Liara. The chains around her began to hum softly, reacting to his courage and moral choice. He reached out to her, and she mirrored the movement, their connection growing stronger with each passing moment. The king nodded slowly. Very well. You have proven that humans are not only clever and brave, but also morally strong. Many of my people will doubt such qualities exist in your kind. You have shown otherwise. Ethan smiled, though his heart was still racing. She deserves freedom, he said. Some things are more important than gold or fear. Zorath regarded him silently, then gestured toward the orb that held the memories. You now know the truth. The chains that bind her are not punishment. They are protection. If you can free her without allowing the artifact to be misused, you will succeed, where few others could. Ethan's mind raced with the possibilities. He realized the final trial was not about skill or courage alone, but about wisdom, moral judgment, and foresight. Freeing Liara meant understanding the risks, anticipating dangers, and acting with both strength and care. Liara's eyes met his again, and he saw hope, trust, and patience in them. 2 centuries of waiting had led to this moment. Ethan felt a surge of determination. Humans had the ability to rise above fear, greed, and temptation. He would show that humanity's courage and moral strength could change even the fate of centuries. With a deep breath, Ethan stepped forward, ready to face the final challenges. The trials had tested his mind, his heart, and his courage. Now they would test his wisdom and his ability to change destiny itself. The chamber shimmered around him, and the next stage of his journey began. Ethan knew that what he did next would decide not only Liara's future, but also the future of Zithara, and perhaps the galaxy itself. Ethan stepped forward from the arena, his mind still reeling from the visions he had seen. Liara's story had changed everything. She was not a criminal or a traitor. She was a hero who had sacrificed her freedom to protect Zithara and the galaxy from unimaginable danger. The chamber shifted once more, this time opening into a vast library of light. Shelves of floating crystal panels displayed knowledge in the form of glowing symbols and images. Ethan realized that this was where the secrets of Zithara were stored, the place where the history of the planet and its people could be understood. A voice, soft but commanding, spoke from the light. "Human, to truly free her, you must understand the artifact she protected. Only with this knowledge can the chains be safely removed." Ethan stepped forward, approaching a panel that glowed brighter than the others. As he touched it, memories and visions filled his mind. He saw Liara holding a brilliant crystal, the size of a human head, pulsing with energy. Around her, alien leaders argued and fought, some wishing to use its power for conquest. Liara realized the danger. The artifact could control minds, not just of individuals, but entire populations. If misused, it could destroy civilizations. The images showed her decision. She bound herself to the crystal, chaining both it and herself with an energy that only true courage and morality could unlock. The chains were not punishment, they were protection. By doing this, Liara had prevented the artifact from falling into the wrong hands for 200 years. Ethan felt awe and respect. The strength it took to make such a choice was beyond what most humans could imagine. Yet here she was, still alive, still patient, still waiting for someone brave enough to set her free. The voice spoke again. "Many have tried, few have succeeded. The key is not in strength or cunning, but in understanding and wisdom. You must recognize that every action has consequence, and only careful thought will succeed." Ethan nodded. He had already passed the first trials through intelligence, empathy, and courage. Now he needed wisdom, to act thoughtfully, to understand the risks, and to make choices that would ensure Liara's freedom without endangering the galaxy. He turned to Liara, whose eyes met his. Though silent, she communicated patience and trust. Ethan realized that freeing her would be more than simply touching a lever or saying a word. It would require strategy, foresight, and moral clarity. Suddenly, a holographic image of King Zorath appeared, pointing toward the chains. "Human, you may attempt to unlock her now, but beware, the artifact responds to intent. Only one of pure courage and heart may succeed. Others have failed, and their minds were trapped in the crystal for eternity." Ethan approached the chains slowly, studying the energy that bound Liara. It was not solid metal, but a pulsating force that seemed to react to fear or greed. He could feel its power even from a few steps away, and he knew he had to remain calm. He closed his eyes, focusing on the qualities that had brought him here: courage, compassion, and moral clarity. He thought of Liara, of her long wait, and of all the people he had helped during his trials. He reached out with steady hands, letting his intention guide him. The chains pulsed and shifted as his fingers neared them. Light spread along their length, testing his mind and heart. Ethan felt a subtle pressure, as if the energy was probing his thoughts. He stayed calm, steadying his mind against fear and temptation. He did not think of gold, glory, or reward. His only thought was Liara's freedom. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a glow spread from the base of the chains, running along every link. Ethan could feel the energy responding, reacting not with force but with recognition. His courage, his patience, and his moral clarity were acknowledged. Slowly, carefully, the chains began to unwind. The pulsating force relaxed, and the glow softened. Liara's eyes widened, reflecting a mix of hope and relief. She raised her hands slightly as the last link of the chain dissolved, falling to the ground with a faint, sparkling sound. Ethan stepped back, giving her space. Liara was free, standing tall, her silver hair shimmering with the energy that had bound her for centuries. She looked at Ethan with gratitude that spoke louder than words. "You did it," she whispered, her voice soft but filled with strength. "You saw me clearly. You understood my choice. Thank you." Ethan smiled, though he felt the weight of responsibility. "It was not just me," he said. "You waited, you endured, and you acted with courage, too. We did this together." King Zorath appeared, his golden eyes observing them. "Incredible," he said. "I have ruled Zithara for centuries, and I have never seen such human strength. You have not only freed her, but also shown that humans are capable of true heroism." Liara nodded to Ethan, then turned to the king. "The artifact is secure now," she said. "Its power will no longer threaten Zithara or the galaxy." Zorath's expression softened. "You have made a wise choice, human," he said, looking at Ethan. "You have proven that courage and morality can change destinies. Tell me, what do you wish now?" Ethan thought for a moment. The gold had been tempting, but he no longer cared for wealth. His goal had been Liara's freedom, and that had been achieved. "I wish for her to be free," he said simply. The king nodded, and a gentle warmth filled the chamber. "Then your wish is granted." Liara took a step toward Ethan, and for the first time in 200 years, she walked freely, unbound by chains or fear. The energy that had confined her faded, leaving only a sense of peace and strength. Ethan realized that humans were indeed unique. Their courage, moral clarity, and willingness to act for the good of others could overcome even the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Zithara itself seemed to acknowledge this, the air shimmering with approval. Liara turned to Ethan, a smile forming on her face. "Now, we can face the challenges ahead," she said. "The galaxy is large, and there are many who would misuse power. But together, we can make a difference." Ethan nodded. He had learned much during the trials about courage, wisdom, and morality. But the greatest lesson was simple. Humanity had a strength that went beyond technology, gold, or weapons. It lay in the heart, in the choices made for others, and in the courage to do what was right. King Zorath stepped back, observing them with respect. "Humans are remarkable," he said. "Perhaps it is time we work together. The galaxy has seen the power of one human heart. Imagine what could be achieved if more followed this example." Ethan and Liara exchanged a look. They knew their journey was not over. There were still threats in the galaxy, still challenges to face. But for now, Zithara was safe, and Liara was free. And in that moment, Ethan understood something he had always believed. Humans were capable of extraordinary courage, and sometimes that courage could change the fate of worlds. Ethan and Liara emerged from the chamber where her chains had finally fallen away. The palace of Zithara seemed quieter than before, as though it was holding its breath. Though Liara was free, Ethan knew their challenges were far from over. The news of her release would not please everyone, and some of King Zorath's closest allies had already begun murmuring discontent. The corridors of the palace echoed with footsteps as Ethan and Liara walked together. Her silver hair shimmered in the soft light, and her calm presence gave him courage. "The artifact is safe now," she said softly. "But some factions may try to take it. They fear change, and they do not understand human choices." Ethan nodded. "Then we have to be ready. Humans are clever, and we can use our minds, not just force, to protect what is right." As they reached the main hall, a group of alien nobles appeared. Their expressions were stern, their bodies rigid with authority. Some held ceremonial staffs, glowing faintly, which they used as symbols of power. Their leader, a tall figure with silver-tinted skin named Varian, stepped forward. "You dare release her?" Varian said sharply. "After 200 years of confinement, the girl should have remained bound. You have disturbed the order of Zithra, human." Ethan stepped forward calmly. "I didn't disturb order. I restored justice. Liara's chains were not punishment. They were protection. She saved your world and the galaxy. Freeing her is the right choice." Varian's eyes narrowed. "Do you think your human morals outweigh centuries of tradition? You have no idea what you are dealing with." Ethan met his gaze steadily. "I may be human, but humans have survived against impossible odds. We rely on intelligence, courage, and morality. That is how we succeed." The tension in the room was thick, but Liara spoke next, her voice clear and commanding. "Enough. Humans are not here to destroy or disrupt. Ethan has proven the truth. I acted to protect Zithra. The artifact is safe. Those who oppose us are choosing fear over reason." Varian raised his staff, and the other nobles backed him, silently. "If you will not follow tradition," he said, "then we will act to restore it. We cannot allow a human to dictate our ways." Ethan's mind raced. He knew this confrontation could turn violent if he was not careful. He glanced at Liara. "We need a plan," he said quietly. "Humans succeed by thinking ahead, not by fighting blindly. Let's show them another way." Liara nodded. Together they stepped forward, Ethan raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "We can prove the right path," he said. "Not by fighting, but by solving this problem together. Let us use logic, not anger." Varian hesitated, clearly unsure how to respond. The other nobles murmured among themselves. Ethan saw an opportunity. He suggested a challenge, a puzzle that tested intelligence, courage, and fairness, the qualities that humans and Liara had demonstrated in the trials. "If we solve this together," Ethan said, "you will see that fear is not the answer. Reason and cooperation are stronger than conflict." Varian's eyes flickered with curiosity. "Very well, human. Present this test." Ethan moved to a glowing platform in the center of the hall. Symbols floated in the air, forming a complex pattern that shifted constantly. "This puzzle," he explained, "represents balance. Each symbol must be aligned correctly to stabilize the energy flow. If it fails, the energy could disrupt the palace, but if it succeeds, it proves our understanding of responsibility and cooperation." The nobles leaned in, intrigued despite themselves. Ethan gestured to Liara. Together, they began moving the symbols, predicting the shifting patterns, and adjusting carefully. The nobles watched, slowly realizing that Ethan's approach combined careful observation, quick thinking, and strategic cooperation. Hours passed. Ethan communicated clearly, demonstrating step by step how to anticipate the patterns. Liara assisted, guiding the nobles subtly without giving direct answers. Slowly, the floating symbols clicked into alignment, and the energy in the room stabilized. The golden glow spread through the hall, filling it with warmth. Varian lowered his staff. His expression softened. "Impressive," he said quietly. "You have proven that action based on courage, wisdom, and morality can succeed where fear and tradition would fail." Ethan smiled. "Humans do not always act perfectly, but we act with our hearts and minds. That is how we face impossible challenges." The other nobles nodded, murmuring their agreement. The tension in the room dissipated, replaced by curiosity and newfound respect. Liara looked at Ethan, eyes shining. "You showed them the power of reasoning and courage," she said softly. "You've changed their minds without a single fight." King Zorath appeared at the doorway, his golden eyes gleaming. Well done, human. You have shown what humans are capable of: courage, wisdom, and moral strength. More than that, you have taught my people that fear is not always the answer. Ethan bowed slightly. Thank you, King Zorath. We only acted for what is right. That is what humans can offer. Zorath's gaze shifted to Liara. And you, Liara, have shown patience and heroism beyond imagining. Together, you two have not only freed yourself, but also shown the potential of collaboration between humans and aliens. Varian stepped forward and bowed. We were wrong to doubt you, he admitted. Your actions demonstrate that strength is not only measured in power or tradition, but in courage, wisdom, and moral clarity. We accept your guidance in these matters. Ethan felt a surge of relief and pride. The confrontation was resolved, not with weapons, not with threats, but with intelligence, patience, and courage. Humans had once again proven that their greatest power was in their hearts and minds. Liara reached out to Ethan. The galaxy is safer now thanks to you, she said. And you've shown Zithra that humans can be heroes in ways they never expected. Ethan smiled. We did it together. Humans are brave, yes, but so are you. Your courage and patience made this possible. The palace seemed to breathe with approval. Outside, the sun glimmered over Zithra's forests, rivers, and floating cities. The world felt alive, hopeful, and open to new possibilities. Humans and aliens could work together, learning from each other, protecting the galaxy with courage, wisdom, and compassion. King Zorath's voice echoed softly through the hall. This is only the beginning. Let this day mark a new era, a time when courage and morality guide our actions, not fear or greed. Humans have shown us the way. Ethan and Liara exchanged a glance, knowing that adventures awaited beyond Zithra. There would be challenges, threats, and discoveries across the stars. But together, they had proven something greater than themselves, that human courage and moral strength could change worlds and inspire even the oldest civilizations. With the confrontation resolved, peace settled over the palace. The factions that had opposed them now looked to Ethan and Liara for guidance. And though the galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers and wonders, Ethan felt ready. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and with courage, intelligence, and heart, they always could again. The palace of Zithra shimmered in the light of the twin suns, casting reflections across the crystal towers and floating bridges. Ethan walked alongside Liara, feeling a sense of accomplishment and purpose. The trials had been completed. Liara was free, and even the skeptical nobles had recognized the wisdom and courage of humans. King Zorath appeared before them, his golden eyes reflecting pride. You have done more than free Liara, he said. You have shown Zithra what humans are capable of: intelligence, courage, and morality. This will be remembered for generations. Ethan nodded. It was never about proving humans are strong. It was about showing that we can act for what is right, even when it is hard. Liara smiled at him, her silver hair glinting in the sunlight. You have changed Zithra, Ethan. You have shown them that courage and morality are more important than fear or greed, and together, we can do even more. The king gestured toward the horizon. The galaxy is vast and threats to peace remain. But with humans and Zithrans working together, we can face them. Will you join us, Ethan? Ethan looked at Liara. She nodded, her eyes shining with trust and determination. He had faced trials, solved puzzles, overcome dangers, and shown the strength of human morality. Now the opportunity to make a lasting impact lay before him. Yes, he said, we will work together. The king smiled. Then let the new era begin. Over the next weeks, Ethan and Liara traveled through Zithra's cities, meeting with citizens, leaders, and scholars. Ethan shared human ideas of cooperation, problem-solving, and ethical reasoning. He showed how humans solved problems not by fear or force, but by cleverness, planning, and heart. Liara guided him, explaining the history of her people and the challenges they had faced. Together, they held discussions in the council chambers, teaching lessons learned from their trials. Slowly, the people of Zithara began to embrace these new methods. Conflicts were resolved through dialogue rather than confrontation, and the palace's energy, once tense and suspicious, now felt open and hopeful. One day, Ethan and Liara visited the artifact, which had been secured in a chamber of crystal and light. Ethan examined it carefully. Though powerful, it was now safe under the watch of Liara and the council. The energy that had once required centuries of confinement was now stable, responding to reason and courage rather than fear. "This is incredible," Ethan said. "It shows that strength can be controlled responsibly when guided by wisdom and morality." Liara nodded. "Yes. And humans can help remind all civilizations that courage and ethical choice matter more than power alone." Word of their success spread throughout Zithara, and other alien civilizations took notice. Messages arrived from distant planets, curious about the human who had freed Liara and helped her people embrace courage and wisdom over fear and tradition. Ethan realized that the galaxy could benefit from the lessons humans had brought. 1. Evening. Ethan and Liara stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns painted the sky in shades of green, violet, and gold. Liara's chains were gone, and she moved freely, her posture regal yet relaxed. "Ethan," she said, "you have done more than free me. You have inspired my people, and perhaps even the galaxy. I have waited 200 years, but now I see hope for the future. Thanks to you, the galaxy may be safer, stronger, and wiser." Ethan smiled. "It was not just me. Humans and Zitharans working together achieved this. And it all started because I chose to do what was right, instead of chasing gold or rewards." Liara's eyes shone with gratitude. "Your choice showed true courage. Your morality gave us a chance to see a better way. Humans are indeed remarkable." The palace halls were filled with new energy. Citizens came to learn, discuss, and share ideas. Challenges that once seemed impossible were now approached with collaboration and creativity. Ethan and Liara taught that courage was not only facing danger but also standing up for what is right, even when others doubted you. King Zorath summoned them one final time. "Ethan, Liara, your actions have begun a transformation in Zithara. I have ruled for centuries, yet I have never seen change like this. Your bravery, intelligence, and morality have opened a path for all of us. The galaxy will remember this day." Ethan bowed. "It is an honor, King Zorath. Humans have learned much in this journey too. We have seen courage, patience, and wisdom in your people. Together, we can achieve more than either species could alone." Liara stepped forward. "This is just the beginning. There are worlds beyond Zithara that need guidance, understanding, and courage. And humans are ready to help. We will explore, learn, and protect together." The king nodded. "Then go, and may your journey be one of wisdom and courage. The new era has begun." Ethan felt a surge of pride and determination. He thought of Earth, his home, and of all the people who had ever believed that humans could achieve greatness. Now he knew that courage, intelligence, and morality were the true strengths of his species. Over the following months, Ethan and Liara traveled to distant planets, teaching, solving conflicts, and building alliances. Humans and aliens worked side by side, facing challenges with creativity and heart. They resolved disputes, protected powerful artifacts, and inspired hope wherever they went. Ethan realized that humans had something unique to offer the galaxy: the ability to choose what is right, even when fear or temptation existed. This strength was not measured by wealth, weapons, or technology, but by courage, morality, and intelligence. Liara stood beside him on one mission, observing a new council of aliens and humans working together. "Look at what we have accomplished," she said. "Your kind has shown that true strength lies in heart and mind." Ethan nodded. "And the galaxy has learned that too. We may be small, but our choices can change worlds. That is humanity's greatest power." The twin suns of Zithara set over the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Ethan and Liara stood together, ready to face the challenges of the galaxy. They had begun a new era, one where courage, morality, and intelligence guided decisions, not fear, greed, or power alone. Ethan felt hope swelling in his chest. Humans had survived impossible odds on Earth, and now they were showing the galaxy that their true strength lay in their hearts. Liara turned to him. "Together, we will make the galaxy stronger, safer, and wiser." "Thank you, Ethan, for showing that humans can be heroes, not just to our people, but to all who need courage." Ethan smiled. "And thank you, Liara, for trusting me. Humanity is capable of greatness, and now the galaxy knows it." As the stars began to twinkle in the evening sky, Ethan realized that this was only the beginning. Humans had much to offer, and their courage, intelligence, and moral strength could inspire change across the cosmos. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and challenges, but Ethan knew one thing: with heart, wisdom, and courage, humans could rise to any challenge, and maybe even teach the stars how to shine brighter. And so, a new era began, with humans and aliens working side by side, proving that courage, intelligence, and morality were the most powerful forces in the universe.